This is Tom Barnhart, and I'm here today with the next in our series of GBS Director Interviews with Mariano Andrade, who is Johnson Matthey's Global Services Director based in Vilnius. We've seen you a few times over the years at some of our events in Warsaw. Thanks for taking a few minutes with us for today. First of all, give us a little bit of, Mariano, give us a bit of background of what Johnson Matthey is doing globally, really quickly, but particularly in the Vilnius offices.
Yeah, sure, Tom. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be working with you. And hello, everybody. So Johnson Matthey is a 200-year-old company, British company, right? So if I got it short for everybody to pinpoint exactly what do we do, next time any of you go to the streets anywhere in the world, you're going to count 1, 2, and the third car that you will see with a combustion engine is wearing a catalytic converter from Johnson Matthey. So we invented it in 1974, and we have in gasoline probably 30% of the market share. When it goes to diesel, it's a bit higher than that. Anywhere, whether you go to heavy duty, tractors, anything that uses a combustion engine, has our catalytic converters. And moving forward, you're going to see that more in energy production, right? And data centers that needs to be cooled down, that need additional supply of energy. You're going to see our technology there.
Interesting.
We have other places where we do a lot of equipment and catalyzers for cancer treatments and brain surgery. There's a lot of applications into platinum group metals, which is the core of our business. And from there, we do a number of other things.
Okay. And then in Vilnius or Lithuania, tell us about your support for that global business.
Yeah, so the office in Vilnius is relatively new. It's just a little bit over 2 years old. And we came to life in an interesting way because we don't have any manufacturing plants in Lithuania. We have several of them around Europe. We have in Poland, we have in North Macedonia, Germany, Sweden, and in the UK. Lithuania came as an important component for us to develop a GBS model. So Johnson Matthey, up until a couple of years ago, was hyper-fragmented. It was 4 main businesses, relatively big businesses, or we call them sectors. Mm-hmm. And nothing was unified when it comes to functions, when it comes to finance, HR, nothing was really unified. So the idea for a GBS model was to break down the silos and then unify the company under one umbrella, which is always easier said than done, right? I think sure. We have seen it many times, Tom.
Sure.
So we started the journey in Lithuania with the core basics that Johnson Matthey thought they needed to begin with, which was HR and finance to begin mm-hmm. with, and then adding procurement. So I would say HR was far more advanced already because they did, Johnson Matthey did a transformation 4 years ago where they incorporated one ERP. So we have already Workday is the platform that we're using as a core. Therefore, most of the processes were already mapped out and correctly in place. Mm-hmm. When it came to finance, and this is not an exaggeration, hear me out carefully, we have 32 ERPs.
Wow.
And it comes from J.D. Edwards on black screens with green cursor that I haven't seen since the first edition of Tron, I think, to different instances of SAP. And in reality, none of them are configured in the same way. None of them are using the same templates. So there is nothing that was connecting in the background. So it was really difficult to get any financial data that could be accurate, or was taking very long. Just to put a perspective out there, some of the services that we provide nowadays from Lithuania is record to report. Mm-hmm. We provide FP&A, controllership. We have accounts payable inside the model as well, but I provide that from our office in Kolkata. And accounts receivable. So when it comes to record to report, closing the month end was taking between 12 and 14 days.
Wow.
So today already the way we have centralized this and the way we have streamlined some of the processes is taking us 5. So it's a significant improvement, but we still can do a little bit better, right? When it comes to accounts payable, what I first heard is we never pay anything on time. And now we are looking together with procurement, what was the root cause of that? And I think, look, and I think I will pitch in here a little bit of technology, if I may. Because what we did to begin with, we didn't have a platform to look into the data. We had to extract all the data manually and try to understand. So making a root cause analysis was nearly impossible.
Wow.
We had to set up several workforces in small groups, and by the time they will come with an analysis, it was just another problem. It was not a root cause. It was just finding another problem and another problem.
Onions, layers upon layers upon layers.
Yes, and it was not getting resolved, right? So, and why this is a problem, on a company that spends over £1 billion in procurement, in procuring stuff, and there are some vital services, right? Like for our plants who are melting the metal, who are recycling the metal, gas and water is incredibly important. We cannot get the cut off supply of that, otherwise we stop the plants, and restarting the plants takes very long time.
Yes.
So there is always the threat on what is the risk of not paying things on time. And although I have said this for many years, I don't think technology solves everything. If you don't have a good process, whatever technology you put in is just going to give you a bigger problem. Sure. But in this case, I needed to have a piece of technology that with the right configuration, even without the process, will let me know where the problem is, right? That's a process mining tool. And we opted for Celonis. I think when we spoke to Celonis, they were geared up for it, and in reality, they have been doing a fantastic job. So now we connected all the ERPs under Celonis, and we can pinpoint within hours where the problem of an invoice not being paid is, right? And as you guys can imagine, whoever is listening, watching in this video is most of the times, probably 3 culprits. Yes. The contract is not done correctly. So we found POs that were open from 1998, 1996, right? So last century stuff, and we were still booking against that. But more importantly, the payment terms and conditions were just never reviewed. And we had too many people that had access to the master data. So they
could change it themselves. Yeah.
They were changing the payment terms all the time, and we couldn't find exactly what was the problem. So have we resolved that problem? I would tell you we don't have anybody threatening us to cut the gas or to cut the water because now we're catching the critical payments and they are being done on time. But we're still running a process right now to contact all our vendors and renew the payment terms, right? So we're not gonna pay early because we were losing money in 2 ways. We were paying or early, so you miss out on your interest
working capital.
Working capital, or you're paying too late, so you're missing out on good negotiation.
The relationships,
correct, right? So now we are 90% of the times we're paying on time. Not early, not late, but we still have a little bit of work to do with some of our vendors and suppliers for us to agree on that. And more importantly, now we could identify very quickly how many people had access to the master data, and we're talking thousands. For a company that employs 12,000 people, we're going to tell you more than 2,000 people had access to the master data. It's totally crazy, right? Yeah. So that was just the lack of discipline on how this has been done. And it's probably one of the key highlights on the importance of a GBS. When you start already putting a model that goes horizontally across the different sectors, then you start, it's not, at some point, some people were thinking, this GBS model is just bringing us a lot of problems. No, the problems were already there. We're just surfacing them in a way that are visible.
You just found them now.
Yes. Right? Yeah. So we can start fixing them. So that is just one quick example where we have already starting to use some basic principles of AI. I don't really have any big juicy cases where I will tell you we have solved a problem with AI. No, we're just using some of the technology that comes already with AI, with Celonis, for example, to start simplifying the production of SOPs and to make sure that the process maps are well connected to the risks and so on. So we're using it in a very basic way. It's not really at a stage where I will tell you this is replacing jobs at all. It's actually just letting us go faster. It's letting us cut some fat in the way that is allowing us to do what we're supposed to do in a linear way.
So let me ask you this: Are you getting offers from AI vendors coming to you and saying, we have this magical solution? Give us a feel for that, because we also never hear about that from the perspective of GBS directors that are getting the offers. Are they sensible? Are they outlandish? Are they expensive? Are they efficient? Give us a feel for that.
Yeah, sure. Look, I am partnering for some of our services with Genpact, right? So the model right now is hybrid, and it was made hybrid for reasons that it was just simpler to get the ball rolling with the GBS model, right? Sure. So we have some of the services outsourced with Genpact for the time being. So with Genpact, I have been working, and indeed they have already some agentic solutions where they are using AI. Mm-hmm. I have traveled to Kolkata just a couple of months ago to see some of the examples. Now, with all due respect, I do think that eventually those models are going to mature. What I have seen so far, I wouldn't say is mind-blowing. I wouldn't say is something that I really want to become a rat lab and see how it works for me. It's just, from my perspective, on a company that has never been process-oriented, that has had a super scattered landscape on technology and processes all over the place. I don't think, as much as people have told me, AI is going to help you solving that. I don't think so. You need to have invested already, and the investment for us to fix all that data is quite significant. For us to be able to go into one ERP or at least fewer ERPs for an agentic solution to work better, it will cost us millions of pounds, right? Yeah. It will be, the investment will be so big that is, and for something that we just don't know how effective will that be. Yes. So we have been, I have seen it in R2R, I have seen it in accounts payable, seems to be working to some extent well enough. But again, if you have your payment terms, if you have your contracts, and if you have a way to insource the invoices so you can have one first pass and then pay out, it works well. It's not our case yet, so we haven't tested it. And then the second point on why I have been a bit hesitating to partner with Genpact in depth on an agentic solution is that I need to give them 100% access to all my data. Right. So and to me that is a little bit of a big step ahead. Because you are essentially becoming completely dependent on a third-party provider, and there's nothing wrong with those guys. They are doing a fantastic job, but do I want to be chained to that, whether it works or not? I'm not ready yet. So I do think that the use of AI is certainly going to improve. It will depend on the maturity of the company that you're working for, on what steps can you take on. I do think that accounts payable is one relatively easy one, because if you format if you have a good structure for receiving the invoices and passing them into payments, and 80% or 90% of your invoices don't come with any problem, any discrepancies, is gonna go through. And the ones that they don't go through, then you will still have a smaller team that can fix for that problem. And it just takes a little bit of time and get on there. On reporting, on record to report, I mean, there is already quite a lot of automation out there, right? So my point is, do you need AI for everything, or you just need to keep on automating some of those processes? Right. Because I don't think the benefit is that great. If you can automate some of the processes rather than using AI, I think it's cheaper at the moment to do the automation rather than the AI. But again, if we go 15 years back in time, when RPAs were becoming big, and a lot of people were investing in those RPAs, and you spend thousands and thousands of licenses, how many people are using RPAs today, right? So I think I want to be more, it's not being skeptical, just being carefully selective about what I think it is mature enough for our organization to put an experiment with that. Right. But not a grand scale.
And tell us, so jumping forward a bit, tell us what other services you might be providing to Johnson Matthey HQ in the next 1 or 2 years, and any other such dramatic transformations that are on the horizon for you guys.
Yeah, so we do have a transformation program in place right now. It's just getting shaped at the moment. What I can tell you from our perspective, from a GBS model perspective, we have only taken 25% of the roles that fit inside a centralized model for a GBS. So what we will see over the next couple of years is elimination of the shadow organizations, because they still, I think the hardest part is not to build a centralized model, is to eliminate those who are duplicating and triplicating the same jobs out there, right? So I think the next stage for us is going to be, making sure that the model really fits and the model is clean, and you have the end-to-end process mapping in place, and then define accountabilities. In terms of processes, I mean, I think we have from R to R, we have from accounts payable all the way to controllership, including FP&A. So I think we have already the service catalog that belongs here. Now it's just making sure that it works, and for it to work, is making sure that upstream and downstream are well connected, and then underpinned by the right technology. So for us, the next couple of years is going to be a journey of continuing enhancing what we have already done in the model, and then the underpinning with the right technology for it to be simplified. And then we'll see where this will take us on, whether it's an AI tool, whether it's automation, we will see.
Okay, good. Well, look, thanks for your time. We'll check back with you in a year or so. You have to do all those incredible things while you have the geopolitics, which must be affecting you guys in the energy market, and unbelievable amount, right? All the procurement and all the logistics and the bottlenecks going on all around the world.
Well, supply chains are getting disrupted for everybody. I mean, the cost of energy, I mean, Tom, you're also in Poland, so next door practically, right?
Yeah.
So we're getting hit, and yes, it is very volatile times. Nevertheless, I think it's important to cut through the noise. There's nothing we can do about it.
Sure, that's right.
So we just need to keep on working. So eventually, we're going to be placed in a position where a GPS model will continue to provide value, to add value to any organization. But I think on the point that you just made on the supply chain, I think watch that space, right? Because I think that space is going to be heavily disrupted after everything we have seen in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
From a pandemic to the wars in the Middle East right now to Ukraine, Russia.
Yes.
I think supply chains are heavily going to be disrupted at the moment. And it's not an AI tool.
Right. Okay, good. Well, we heard it here first. Great. Mariano, thanks a lot. Thanks for letting us hear a bit more about Johnson Matthey, what's going on behind the scenes a bit more. Very helpful and very interesting. And thanks a lot. We'll check back with you in about a year or so.
Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Mariano. Bye. Bye-bye.